Hey guys, welcome to the YouTube video. Today it's going to be another collections video. It's Sunday, it's my day off, so I have time to do this kind of stuff. So in the previous collections video, I'll let y'all vote for which ones to do an unboxing video. Excuse me, to do a collections video on, but didn't get much votes, so I started messaging some buddies of mine and asking them to put their own votes in, and they did, and the camp knives got the most votes. And I will definitely say the camp knives are one of the knives I have been collecting for a long time because there's something about them you don't see anymore, and they have a lot of history to them. And I have a lot of ones that have a lot of ones from different brands, to ones that are in really good shape, to ones that are not in really good shape. Anyway, now be advised, the camp knives I will not be including is the Victorinox ones and the military ones, because the Victorinox ones obviously belong in the Victorinox collection, and the military ones obviously belong in my military collection. These are all camp knives that have random assortments of brands, but they're all camp knives of certain kinds. So anyway, I guess I'll go ahead and start with this one right here. This is a near mint Imperial that I personally restored. This particular one, my good friend Edward, or JJ Jinx, sent to me. And it originally was in a lot rough shape. The scales were missing the original paint, the original plastic, so I repainted them black. And then I completely took this apart and restored it. So that's one of my favorites. Next is this Ideal that my father helps me get. This is an Ideal camp knife. You can see it looks a bit different than the Imperial. And it's almost near mint, unused. Very nice, good old stock. Again, very beautiful knife. Thank you very much, Dad, for helping me get this. That's awesome. And then next is one of the ones I picked up at a flea market. A very good shape Colonial Knife. Now, this one is in really good shape. I'm still going to repolish it when I have time, but this particular one I picked up at a flea market, and I at first was going to sell this knife, but looking at it closely, realizing how good of a shape it's in, I actually fell in love with it, and I decided to keep it because at the flea market where I got this from, they have another one, so I'm just going to go pick that one up and sell it and keep this one for myself. Again, in very good shape, even has the original store logo on here. Definitely a snappy little guy. So there's that one. Next is this Colonial. This Colonial has a little bit of different tools. I collect them also if they're different than the ones I normally see. Like this one's has a Marlin spike, and it has Western Pennsylvania Ducks Unlimited on the back of it. Again, this is one my father helped me get. Almost mint condition, unused and unsharpened. Again, very beautiful piece, and it even still has the leather punch on it. That's a beautiful piece. Next is this Colonial I picked up at a gun show when I was with my father. It has a hawkbill blade and a regular Colonial blade. It's in a little bit rough shape, but I love it because it's unusual and it's a lot thicker than the ones I normally get. Very beautiful. Plus, you can kind of dual wield it like this. And I put the bail on it because the original one was gone. Again, very beautiful knife. Next this is a Imperial Super Camp King, where it's got more than just a standard Imperial camp knife. It's got a can opener on the back and a bottle opener, and it's got if I recall, this is a saw built into this. No, this is for the can openers. It's got leather punches, it's got a spare blade, it's got a bottle opener, can opener. I mean, again, a little different than the ones you got, and it's got these nice cherry red handles. Again, very nice example of some good old stock. This is another one that my father helps me get. Beautiful piece. Next is, a lot of people have probably already had one of these growing up. I had one, but mine disappeared a long time ago, and I still never found it. This is a Colonial Cub Scout knife. These knives have been around for a very long time. They were made by Camillus, they were made by Imperial. They were even made by Ulster. Beautiful knives. Has all 3 blades still intact. Beautiful. And then I also got a Girl Scout Eagle Scout knife. Say that 2 times fast. This particular one is made by Cutmaster. Again, my father bought a lot of these. I kept one, and he kept one, and we sold the rest. Beautiful shape. Has the original handles and the original emblem still in it. Again, beautiful. Next is my Imperial Eagle Scout knife with the all plastic handles, or a Swiss-like, which is a lot of people are calling these. This particular one is black and it has the Eagle Scout emblem that you can see, but very slightly. This is another one that my father helped me get. I restored this completely because it originally was rusted. You couldn't even tell it and you couldn't even open it, but I completely restored it, brought it back to its original condition, and then it went straight into my collection. Next is another, if this is another Imperial, yes it is. This is another Imperial, but this one's got brown handles. I know it's difficult to see in the camera, but this one I call more of like a chocolate brown. You know, like when you eat a Hershey's chocolate bar. And this one's actually got the Eagle Scout emblem still on it. Very beautiful shape. Again, nice piece. This is another one that my father helps me get. No, actually, if I remember correctly, this one came in a lot that my buddy JR gave to me, if I remember correctly. And then this one was kind of a celebration knife I put together. A long time ago, I got my very first camp knife, which is this one right here. It's a Camillus, property of U.S. government. And this particular one was my very first camp knife. I bought it at a flea market in a dollar bin many years ago. And when I first started carrying knives, this was my first everyday carry. I carried this for a long time. I made the handles for it many years ago. And I officially retired this knife. And then I went back to the same flea market a couple years later and found another Camillus camp knife. And since this one was a couple years later, I decided to put plastic handles on it. These are my plastic handles that I put on it myself. So it was kind of a celebration. Hey, I bought my very first one, and then I bought another one and restored it with new techniques that I had developed later on. So that's what makes these so special to me. Is one was my very first that I didn't know quite a lot about knives, and then this one was the one where I had gathered a lot of my information later on. Again, beautiful knives. Again, you can't think of something more classic to carry other than a $110. But these babies are now retired to my collection. Again, you can't beat classics. And they're made in America. Next is this one. This one is this is my Imperial Cub Scout knife. Like I just said earlier, Camillus made these, so did Imperial and Ulster. Again, this is one of the ones my father helped me get. This one's got black handles this time, not blue ones like the Camillus. Again, very beautiful example. And then this is a camp knife I put together from spare parts. This was a set of handles and springs that I had kept, and I didn't know what to do with them. And then I saved this bail from a previous knife. And then I put these blades in it. They're both Camco blades. One is a fish knife blade that had been broken, and I turned it into a screwdriver and blunted this end so you can use it as a screwdriver, and it has a bottle opener on it, and it still has the fish scale on the back. And then I gave it a regular Camco sheep's foot blade that I recycled from a Barlow. Again, it goes to show no parts of mine get wasted. And it turned out very beautiful, and it still has the original bone handles. Again, very beautiful. One of my favorite ones that I put together. This is another one that my father got for me. This is a Utica Cutlery all-metal camp knife. Well, this one's got all metal handles. No, wait a minute. I don't think my father got me this one. I think this one came from a lot that my buddy JR had given to me. Very beautiful knife. I love that it's all aluminum and brass. And then, of course, steel for the parts. Again, one of my favorites. Next is, this is another one that my father helped me get. This is an Ulster Eagle Scout knife, which technically a Boy Scout, Eagle Scout, and camp knives technically are all the same. There's just a few minor differences with the tools that are built into them, but otherwise they're technically the same thing. Again, this is one of my favorites. Next, this is another one I cleaned up. This one's actually marked Scout knife. This is one of the ones I restored myself. That if I remember right, came out of JR's bundle. This particular one, though, is made by Kent. Very beautiful knife, and it took me a lot of work to get this knife the way it is. And it turned out beautiful. And I left the handles a little thick, so that way you can grab onto them easier. Again, one of my favorites. Next is this little camp knife. This one is made by Hammer brand, which again is the same as Imperial, just different brands, different names. Again, this is one of the ones my father helped me get. Very beautiful knife. This one's gonna go. This one is gonna stay in my collection because I don't have many Hammer brand camp knives, and I always try to find them. Again, it's in very beautiful shape, and it's called the Camp King. Next is this one. This one is a Imperial, and if I recall, just making sure this isn't that one. This is a very old Imperial camp knife, where it just says Imperial, Providence, Rhode Island. Doesn't say USA, doesn't have the crown on it. Again, I always try to collect them if they're a bit different. So that's another reason I kept that one, because it's different than the ones I got. Next is a very old Camillus that I have not cleaned up yet. I'm still busy with other stuff. And this is a good example of what happens when you don't take care of your knives. You see the plastic starting to shrink, and there's a hole literally through the blade from it not being taken care of. And this one's really old. It has just the Camillus New York, USA on it. This one I will clean up eventually. I just haven't had the time. So right now it's just staying in my collection, and I do keep it oiled to prevent it from rusting. Next is this one, and you're probably wondering why the heck do I keep this Chinese piece of junk, but the reason why I keep this one has a bit of family history to it. My family used to own a company by the name of Barnett Electronics. My father owns the company now, and his father before him had this knife in his shop, and it says Barnett Electronics, which is my family's company, and which is the only reason I kept this, because it's family related. And that's just so cool, having a knife that your own family's company was on. Other than that, I would have chucked it in the scrap bin. That back. Oops, drop that one. Next is this one. This is this is another Hammer brand, and if I recall, get this blade open. Yeah, some of these are still stiff because I don't oil them that often. That's why I always keep this tool around. Come on. There we go. Yeah, this is why I kept this one. It's a Hammer brand, but someone actually put a Cutmaster blade in it. So it's got a Hammer brand blade and a Cutmaster blade. And I love that unique style of somebody who was they cared about their knife quite a bit, so that they put another blade to replace it. Because originally what's supposed to be here is a can opener, but I guess the can opener either broke or he just didn't like it and he decided to replace it. But I love unique stuff like that where somebody did their own personal touch to it. Again, very beautiful knife. Next is this one. This is a Hammer brand 3-bladed camp knife, where it's got 3 blades instead of tools. There we go. Well, that's a leather punch, so that still counts as a tool. But very unusual. Again, one of my favorites that I have restored. Next is this Japanese camp knife that's kind of a gift shop kind of thing, but I keep it around because it's unique. It's got the dragon on it. And it's got all these weird looking tools. And then, of course, the main blade itself. I just keep it around because it's unique looking. Next is this camp knife a buddy of mine had given to me. And it is a piece of China stuff, but I keep it around because I do actually use this when I go camping. It's got a simple blade on it. It's got a folding spoon. And it's got a folding fork that I actually do use. I use this mainly when I go camping. If we forget silverware, I keep this around for when I can actually eat something. Next is this colonial version of this knife. Again, it's got a folding spoon, folding fork, and then a regular blade. Which this one I actually do use, which is why it's rusted a little bit, because I do plan on cleaning that up. Next is another Imperial camp knife. This one is an Imperial diamond edge camp knife with the original diamond edge handles, which is hard to find because most of the time these handles are always coming off. Very beautiful knife. This one again is one of my favorites that I cleaned up. Next is another Imperial. This one just says Imperial, nothing else. This one's another unique one because it just says Imperial, nothing else, and it's in very good shape for its age. Again, one of my favorites, and I love to collect anything unique. Next is a near mint colonial. This one is a Colonial, not a Hammer brand. This one is a near mint Colonial three-bladed camp knife, where it's got all three blades, original handles, and it's all I did is just repolish it, make it look a lot nicer. You can even see the light reflection in that. That's how shiny this is. Again, one of my favorites. And last but not least is my German camp knife. This one is more of a gentleman's knife because it's smaller than the average camp knife, and it's got these nice polished grips. And it's made in Solingen, Germany. It's got all the tools and stuff, so I guess this will be more considered a gentleman's knife. But it's still technically a camp knife to me because it's got lots of multiple tools built into it. All right. Wow, that took a little bit. That's all my camp knives. Oh, wait a minute. There is one more. I almost forgot. It's in my safe. This particular one, y'all have to thank my father for because he got me this one as well. This is a limited edition in the original box Camilla's camp knife or scout knife. Norman Rockwell commemorative. And it is mint condition. Still has the original etching on the blade, made by Colonial. Still has the original celluloid, or no, that's acrylic handles. I mean, talk about mint old stock. That is beautiful. And again, my father got me this one, and he got one for himself. Again, that is just a real piece of work right there. That's one of my favorites. This one stays in my safe at all times, hence why I almost forgot about it. So that's all my camp knives. Thank you, Dad. I love that one in particular. Guess I'll show off the next collections votes. Do you want to see a video of my big knives in my collection? Or do you want to see a video of all my military knives in my collection? Or do you want to see a video of all my random assortments of slip joint pocket knives? Or do you want to see a video of all my swords that I've collected over the years? Again, I hope you guys enjoy the video. And as always, stay sharp.